So welcome to the Galactic Space Jam, the very first one, the inaugural one, and we hope that this will happen every year. So definitely appreciate all of you making the time to come here for this weekend. You're all super talented people. You're artists, you're programmers, you're designers, you're UI, UX people, you're figurative dancers, you're all sorts of things. So I appreciate it. And I think you guys are all going to produce very amazing things this weekend. No pressure. So let's get going. So, this all happened very, very quickly. I would have to say about a month and a half. And it just started from a conversation that I was having with a friend about, games, and then also about the space industry. How we both, thought it was so exciting. It was what we loved, growing up. But it kind of felt like maybe interest was waning. Like there was, so much more that was possible. The excitement wasn't quite where we thought it should be. And we thought, games, they're really, really fun. They're engaging. Maybe that could be a way for us to engage with a lot of people and make them excited about space again. So, I guess one of the core goals of this event is that we have this weekend to create games that are going to inspire excitement about space travel and exploration. And we have a lot of talent that's here in Central Florida, a lot in terms of games, and a lot in terms of space as well. And there's this one company, this agency called NASA, that's not too far away from here. A lot of talented people that are there, and a lot of potential. And I might know a couple people here and there, but I think, we kind of live in islands of our own. We're sometimes really busy with what we do day to day, that I think if we work with them a little bit more and back and forth, a lot of things are going to be possible. So, having only about 45 days to put this thing together, we needed the help of these three groups: IGDA Orlando, IndieNomicon, and Viking Media, which is my studio. IndieNomicon, if you don't know, is this monthly showcase here in Orlando that shows off indie games. And this actually started from a game jam. In January of 2013, we held a game jam, and we realized that there were other people here in town that we didn't know existed. And we became friends, and some of us were saying, hey, how do we keep this thing going? And then we thought, hey, let's do a showcase. So in April 2013, we started with the first IndieNomicon, and that was with 25 people who showed up accidentally. And then from there it grew. People hung out, and then they spread it to their friends. And now we have 100 plus people showing up every single month, which is pretty crazy. So that's pretty great, and we meet on the first Thursday of every month at the Melrose Center. And there are a lot of indie groups that are here in town that, again, we didn't know existed, but now they're here, and they're making real games. They have real products that are coming out into the market. So if anything goes wrong, these three people are the ones to blame. If everything goes right, also, definitely give a shout out. But really, if everything goes right, all of you guys will get the glory on all of that, because I think this is impossible without talented people like you here in Orlando and Central Florida. My name is Kunal Patel. I'm a founder of Viking Media, a local game studio. Where's Peter? Peter's over there. Corey is also another organizer. Look for them if you need any help. And again, so what is this all about? Why are we here? Well, we want to create excitement about space travel and exploration. It's about creativity, experimentation, connections, and community. Like I mentioned, when we had that first game jam, a lot of us didn't know each other. And a lot of what came out of it came because we made brand new friends. We made new connections. Artists met programmers. Programmers met designers. Other people, like even a few music people showed up. We didn't know each other, but then when we did, we saw what was possible. And it's also a time to experiment. A lot of us, we have jobs during the week. We're really talented people. Trying to assemble this many talented people for $0, or even having you guys paid to be here, is a really difficult thing. So, let's take advantage of that to produce something really high quality, something really great. But you can try out things that you can't during the week. So if you've never done anything audio related, now you could. If you wanted to try something out in particles, you could. So that's what, this weekend will be about. Also, big thanks to these people right here. It's a little bit blurry, but Kinetic Media. There's some people here from Kinetic Media. Can you guys wave your hands? Maybe, yeah, some people over there. It's a really great company that's actually here in the Central Florida area. They're in Altamont Springs, and they're creating a digital platform, and really great friends to the games community. They're building some tools that are going to be really amazing. Look out for those people, and they'll actually present something on Sunday. The Orlando Science Center, which gave us this space to do this this weekend. DMT Source, where's Eric? Also another great friend to the indie community. And of course Unity, who are really great friends as well. They've given everybody licenses of Unity for the next 3 months, unlimited usage of everything. So you want to export to anything, you have any games that you have in the works, use it. You have full access to the entire suite. So you'll be getting those keys this weekend. Also, the Economic Development Commission of the Florida Space Coast. So they found out about this and thought this was amazing. They're off on the Space Coast, they're not here in Orlando, but they gave us money because they saw the benefit that can happen when you take all these creative people and you create excitement about space, and it's going to trickle in over to Orlando, to Titusville, to Melbourne, the entire Space Coast. So they were a huge help. And then David Pankros, who's also a very good friend to the startup community here in Orlando. He's one of the organizers of 1 Million Cups. So some of you may have seen him. He'll be here on Sunday. He works on trademarks, patents, IP. So if you guys are producing any sort of games that are going to come out into the market, maybe any of the games that come out of this weekend are going to go to market, he's a great person to talk to. He'll make certain that you guys don't get sued. Also, major thanks to these people, to NASA. There's several people from Kennedy Space Center that are here. Can you guys wave? They're all around you. They're amongst us, and you didn't even know. Rocket Crafters is another company that's out on the Space Coast, and it was a company that I didn't even really know existed. They were in Utah, and then they decided to move here to Florida, to the Space Coast. So they made available some of their technologies and designs, which if you would have seen at the registration desk, there's an Open Innovation Challenge sheet for that. So they've made their spacecraft designs available to all of you as well. Just like NASA is, and you'll also have the talent of these engineers and scientists with you. We'll have Ron Jones, the president of Rocket Crafters, here tomorrow for any of the teams that decide to take that on. And then of course, SpaceX. They made their technologies, their designs, their logo available to anybody that wants to incorporate that into their game. So anything that you see on their website, on their YouTube channel, you can incorporate that. And there's a lot of really great things that you could do with it. On some of these open innovation sheets that are out there in the main lobby, they give you a couple ideas. So, this weekend, to prepare for it, be creative. You guys are probably already creative, so continue to be creative. Try some of these special challenges from these innovation sheets. Get people's numbers and emails on your team, because stuff happens and you need to be in contact with each other. If there's any technical problems, look for myself, Peter, Corey, Jack, anybody from the IndieNomicon team. We'll be able to help. Don't just, sometimes figure like, hey, I'll just figure it out. Ask for help. All right, and so just quickly to kind of go over the schedule, we're going through the intro right now. Pretty soon we're going to go take a look at a couple videos from NASA, from somebody in the games community, and also something really funny that happened during the very first game jam that warped my mind into thinking a lot of things are possible. What you think is impossible can be possible. And then we're going to break out for pitches, which is the really fun stuff, where you guys are going to line up and pitch your game idea, and you have 60 seconds to do so. And after that, you're going to be given a sheet of paper that has the name of your title, and you're going to line up around the room. You're going to stick it against the wall, and then as all of you guys are lined up around the room, the rest of the audience, which are artists, programmers, designers, musicians, any number of things, you're going to get a couple sticky notes, and you're going to get 3 votes. You're going to walk around the room and you're going to talk to these people, ask them about their project, see what you like, and if you like it, you're going to vote for them. Now, of all the pitches, the ones that are low performing are going to get cut. The high performing ones will get to pitch one more time, and then you're going to decide which team you want to be a part of. This way, every team that's out there has people that wanted to be there, and then you're going to create magic. If your pitch didn't make it, don't feel bad. You know, the key goal is to be able to create games for Sunday, and we want the best possibility of that to happen. If you really, really, really believe in your game project, you can do so. You can be, you know, lone space wolves, but we would ask that there be at least a programmer and an artist together. Or if you are a jack of all trades and you are somehow everything, then, you know, speak to us. So I'm gonna bring up a couple videos here in a little bit, but I also like showing this one video from the first major game jam that we did in downtown Orlando in January 2013. The one that I kind of got to know a lot of different people here in town. The board of the IndieNomicon people got to know each other. It all came together in 25 days, so even fewer days than what we had here. And it just proved to me how powerful this games community is, that they're able to do so many things against so many different odds. And I remember that weekend, you know, we were setting up and I was walking around downtown and I saw a whole bunch of preteen girls, and I know for the most part I'm kind of locked up in my dungeon in the office, and I thought like, oh, there's a lot of like preteen girls downtown. That's kind of strange. And they all had Justin Bieber shirts. And I thought, okay, like, I mean, I guess, you know, people like him, like, you know, he's popular, but there are a lot of Justin Bieber shirts. It turned out there was a Justin Bieber concert in downtown that weekend, and I scheduled a game jam the same weekend. So, you know, parking was a mess, everything was taken over, you had to fight Justin Bieber fans. He was against the games community. He was against us all, and we defeated him. You wouldn't believe it, but somehow everything that was going wrong went wrong, and we still somehow produced games that weekend. The internet cut out for several hours. There's nothing we could do. We just had to like somehow figure it out, and we did. So that weekend, there were 10 games that got produced against Justin Bieber, against the internet going down, against, you know, the elevator stopping to work. So people somehow made it happen, hell or high water, and that's the approach to take here. Don't let, you know, something else get in your way, find a way out. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys a video. One team, you know, despite having all these setbacks, even found time to make a funny video, a trailer for their game. So, you know, that weekend, the theme was heart. There was a secret theme that was given out for the Global Game Jam that happens in January. And so some people made an emotional game about heart. Other people made a game about punching hearts. So, you know, it was very broad. So this was the trailer for Shaolin Heart Puncher. Yeah, so that was pretty great. And that all stemmed from just having one person who could take video. So the thing is that this weekend is your chance to do as crazy as you want to get, as creative as you want to be. Just making a game, you could actually take it a step further. And amongst you are very talented people. I said there are artists, there's 2D artists, 3D artists, there's programmers, there's musicians, and there's also some video people as well. So if you happen to find time, if you happen to have a funny idea, you could make a video like that for your game. There are also people that are here who are experts in PR, marketing, or promotions. Tap into some of these people, talk to them, and that way we'll get to spread word of this event. If we don't have video or pictures, or if we don't share socially, this weekend never happened. The world may never know. So we can't let that happen, because this event is going to grow. There's going to be people all around the world that are going to know that this happened. And that only happens if you guys take selfies and you hashtag it with IndieGalactic, and you show, maybe the sticker that you guys got when you came in, or you take snapshots of your game and you hashtag it. So be certain that you can be social this weekend. And if you have the opportunity to touch base with one of the people that can take video, do it. You're here in the Orlando Science Center. There are exhibits and things like that perhaps you could tap into. So if there was ever a place to do it, it would be here. So I'm going to show you a couple videos, and once they complete, we're going to bring up Josh Manning from NASA to show a couple things too. The first video I'm going to show you is from, let's see. Well, actually, I'll just play it and you'll find out.
Hey everyone, John Polson here. Well, I'm now a game scout.
All right, so John Polson is a guy that all of you guys, if you don't know who he is, you'll want to get to know who he is, because he works for IndieFund. He is the kind of person that's going to come here, get to know you guys, and find out, hey, what are you working on? Oh, that's a really cool game. I think we could fund it. He works with IndieFund, and he knows about this event. I think he might be here on Sunday. Possibly, I don't know, we don't know. He could be here amongst us right now. Incognito. But he wanted to send us a message. So, the next two people, they're not videographers, so forgive them for that, but they're really great people, and take their words of encouragement.
IndieFund. As a former IndieGames.com editor-in-chief, I wrote almost weekly about tons of games that come from jams held online and around the world. These games are still on my radar, as some have gone from jam ideas to actually being IndieFund-backed projects. Regardless of the outcome of this weekend for your project, you already deserve congratulations for being a part of the first IndieGalactic Space Jam. Even if this is your first jam, I have full faith that your co-captains, Corey, Kanal, and Peter have prepared you well for the voyage of programming in zero gravity. Or at least that's how making a game over a weekend probably is going to feel like. That is to say, rapid prototyping can feel a bit overwhelming. Fortunately, and ironically, I think the themes of space travel and exploration allow you to feel a bit grounded. Space games aren't restricted to any genre, and I imagine at least one of these titles impacted you in some way. There's Mass Effect, Space Invaders, Kerbal Space Program, Spore, Metroid, Asteroids, StarCraft, Halo, and even the prolific Plumber went on an interplanetary journey with Super Mario Galaxy. But, just in case you don't feel inspired by any Space Jam or space games yet, be sure to try out co-op modes, Please Don't Space Dock, which was featured in the first Alt Control GDC exhibit I organized back in March. While it handles space travel and exploration quite interestingly, with a canine co-pilot, one of the funnest parts is learning a new set of controls. This weekend you can get just as creative with the inputs of your space game as you can with its mechanics. But please don't space dog. Wearing the Oculus means that the player can't look down at the MIDI controller in front of them. They can only use the visual clues the game gives them to help learn how to control the ship. This disorienting sensation is what I imagine space travel would feel like for most of us. We have no idea what the controls are like for the equipment that gets us into space, let alone what the experience is of actually traveling in space. If new control paradigms aren't enough creative freedom for you, space itself provides infinite design possibilities. You can make up planets in their own physics engines or life-sustaining systems, explore the identity crisis of something like Pluto no longer being a planet, and go beyond humans to remove expectations of players and invent new mechanics and character models. Graphics and sounds can also be anything you want. If space is your backdrop and you don't have any time to create sound assets, you can rely on the fact that there is no sound in space. Or if you're looking for an added constraint, I hear that aliens find chiptunes in 8-bit graphics utterly incomprehensible. Whatever your goals are, and however you want to take your creativity, after a few rounds of brainstorming with your partners or with your other selves, get to prototyping. You only have the weekend to get something playable. Get your game up and running so you can iterate as much as possible. Overall, remember this is your game jam, where you can start fresh with new ideas, be open to learning new ways of solving old problems that are still bugging you, try out new software or hardware, make new friends by respecting each other, and most importantly, have fun and make new games. So, good luck on making something out of this world.
So, look out for that guy. He may start showing up to events. He may be here this weekend. He may be at IndieNomicon. You're not quite sure when he'll show up, but he's somebody to know. All right, so the next video is from Daniel Laughlin. He's a digital media learning fellow from the NASA Office of Learning. Now, he put this video together, I think, at 2 a.m. He's a little bit sleepy. He's not a videographer, so forgive him for that. But he brings up some good points, and he brings up some things that you guys can hold on to for the weekend. And he's also a good friend of the community that's down here. So from what we make this weekend, sharing it amongst our local NASA friends, we can also share it with this guy too. And so we can have a broader impact.
Hi, I'm Dr. Daniel Laughlin. You may remember me from such introductory videos as So You Want to Play with Government and Where's My Moon Base? My apologies to anyone who's not a Simpsons fan. I'm Daniel Laughlin. I'm a research professor at Morgan State University. I work with NASA's Office of Education as the Digital Media Learning Fellow. I'm obligated to make the disclaimer that I'm not a civil servant. Nothing I say is legally binding on NASA or the United States federal government, or any other government for that matter. I'm very excited to virtually be here with you at the first Galactic Space Jam. Before I started working directly with NASA headquarters, I spent more than a decade with NASA's Learning Technologies project, helping NASA figure out ways to blend technology and NASA material to inspire students to study STEM subjects and eventually go on to STEM careers. And if any of you don't know, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'm sure Peter and the rest of the guys have explained that. My major area of focus was virtual worlds, digital games, and eventually digital badges. I started nudging NASA to tap the potential of games for STEM learning in 2003. After a couple of years, an opportunity came up for NASA to work on a game. The Army Game Studio, home of America's Army, approached NASA with the idea. I felt compelled to recommend that NASA not take up the offer because I didn't feel there was enough game expertise on the NASA side to make the project successful. And what I've come to recognize as typical government logic, NASA responded by making me the technical lead for the project. Eventually, we were able to work with the Army Game Studio and a passionately dedicated team at Virtual Heroes to build a little game based on NASA's lunar architecture. We plan to release the game in early 2010. Unfortunately, in early February that year, the president announced that NASA's mission was changing, and basically the space agency was going to be scrapping plans to return to the moon. Not exactly the best time to have a big game based on a lunar outpost ready to go out. Eventually, the administrator's office accepted the argument that video games were not policy statements and gave us the green light to release Moonbase Alpha on Steam on July 6, 2010. Some of you may remember this promo video. The game enjoyed a reasonable level of success. While some critics didn't care for it, the majority praised it. Within the first month, Moonbase Alpha had been downloaded 100,000 times and had logged more than 3.6 million minutes of gameplay. In December, Moonbase Alpha won the government category at the 2010 Serious Games Showcase and Challenge. By the way, I hear the submissions for that are about to open this year. NASA gave our team an achievement award the following year, and in 2013, PC Gamer named Moonbase Alpha one of the top 50 free online games. It continues to be downloaded about 5,000 times a week, and as of yesterday had racked up slightly more than 877,000 downloads with an average play time of 43 minutes, which is pretty good for a mission with a 20-minute time limit and a game I predicted was never going to get off the ground. Of course, NASA's been involved with other games. You may have heard of a moderately successful mobile game called Angry Birds Space. NASA collaborated with Rovio on the microgravity physics in the game. So when you shoot your bird at those pigs in space, the gravitational impact of planets and other objects is astoundingly accurate. Rovio recently added an asteroid expansion to Angry Birds Space, once again with help from NASA.
Yeah, he's not much of a videographer, but...
A group at the Jet Propulsion Lab teamed up with Microsoft to develop a Mars rover lander game for the Xbox Kinect. They coordinated the release with the real Curiosity rover's arrival on Mars. And I can't leave out the recent asteroid redirect mission added to the Kerbal Space Program. Notice that was 2 asteroid expansions to popular space games in the last 6 months. The asteroid initiative is a pretty big deal at NASA these days. Finding a way to work asteroids into your game plan this weekend couldn't hurt. So why has NASA been playing with games? In a serious effort to accomplish space agency mission goals. NASA is trying to share the excitement of space exploration as well as inspire future generations of scientists and engineers. Many of the scientists and engineers I know personally were inspired to pursue their careers by science fiction books, TVs, and movies. Over the last decade or so, video games have started to turn up on that list of inspirational sources. NASA's not alone in the federal government in seeing the value of games to accomplish national goals. The Centers for Disease Control, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, all branches of the Armed Forces, the State Department, Smithsonian Institution, and many more. That's currently Mark DeLora. Some of you may know Mark from his time at THQ, Google, Sony, Nintendo, or Ubisoft, or his game programming books. In 2011, the Federal Games Guild, officially the Federal Games Working Group, was founded to bring together people from across the government who shared belief in the power of games to impact government goals. I'm privileged to be the co-chair along with Mark. All this is my way of trying to say that games are important to at least part of the government. I personally believe games can be more powerful than schools when it comes to learning, though I think the biggest impact could come when inspired teachers work with good games. Both playing and building games are great tools for learning. I'm going to spare you my usual bit on why games can be good learning tools. If you don't already know, I suspect you wandered into the Galactic Space Jam by mistake and have just been too embarrassed to tell anybody. I can't commit the government to anything. Remember that disclaimer? But I think there's a very good chance that if you have some good games come out of this weekend, I can get people at NASA and maybe even the White House to pay attention. It's been a pleasure and a privilege talking to you tonight. I'm excited about what you're doing and I'm eager to see the results. Have a great weekend and a very productive jam. Now, while you work for the next 48 hours, I'm going to try and get some time in on Civ 5 and then play Minecraft with my kids.
Okay, that's great. So next up, we've got a real life person that's going to come up here. I know we work in the digital world quite a bit, but I'm going to invite Josh Manning from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. He has quite the epic beard. He's very easy to spot, but I'm going to pass the mic to him.
All right, thanks, Kanal. I gave you a link to a video. Could you play that? It's a video of me. I pre-prepared the speech. No, I'm gonna just play one 1 minute video that kind of explains what we're currently working on. So everybody thinks that KSC or Kennedy Space Center is closed, so I'm gonna advocate against that. And here's a video that proves it, that we're open. Read that says, okay, there you go. So Ground Systems Development and Operations is the program that I work for, and there's a couple of folks here that support that program. That is the replacement to what was the Constellation program, if you're familiar with that. And before that, the Shuttle program. So if you're familiar, those are the major programs we've had, largely based out of Kennedy Space Center. So what I want to do is, because we actually have several folks here tonight, I just want to show, have them stand up when I call their name so you can get a sense of if you have any questions about what we're doing at Kennedy, if you have any technical questions, for example. So Jason, who's in the corner, is our Ground Systems Program Integration Manager for the Orion Exploration Flight Test 1. So it's a very NASA speak. It's going to be the first test flight for the next crewed, well, it's going to be an uncrewed test flight for the next crew capsule that'll take us to the moon, an asteroid, Mars, and beyond. Ultimately, Mars, of course. And it's, so, anybody here familiar with the International Space Station? Okay, so we haven't really gone, humans have not gone beyond the space station in a very long time. And this test here is going to go out 3,600 miles, which is 15 times further than the space station. So it's a pretty significant test. Very similar to, I believe, Apollo 4, I think is, no, maybe not, okay. Dan. Is Dan here? Okay, and so Dan was a thermal protection systems engineer on Shuttle. He's also an artist engineer and a personal coach, and one of the more energetic, creative people I know. So if you want to bounce ideas off of him, he's technical and creative. My wife's calling. She doesn't know where I'm at. Ed, I think Ed is over here. So if Ed can stand up. Ed worked in shuttle quality assurance, and he's also a musician. Dan's a musician as well, so they're going to give you that delicate balance between technical and artist. And then we've got Michael. All right, and so Michael works in the Surface Systems group. So if you've ever heard of SwampWorks, it's a pretty crazy lab that we've recently set up out at Kennedy, and he works on pretty much what do we call enabling technology for Moon and Mars. So you'd have to ask him about that, and there's some pretty interesting projects that they're working on that he can give you more details. And then James. All right, so James works as a material science engineer and he's in aerospace engineering, and I asked him what projects he works on, and they're all top secret, but he may be like a good technical person to lean on. And finally, I'm going to introduce a couple of interns that we have. Trevor, stand up and wave. Jessica, Kyle, and John. So collectively, they have everything from design and visualization experience. Most of them work on launch control systems or a project we call the Glass Wall Project, which is very similar to what you may have seen in Minority Report. So they've got a lot of great programming experience. You can lean on them to learn a little bit of what it's like to maybe work out at NASA. I am a civil servant, but nothing can be held against me either, so the same disclaimer that he mentioned applies. But we came up with a couple of ideas. The ideas that you see on that sheet, I emailed on the 4th of July, and we came up with some other ideas. We had a brainstorming session. I think the one a couple of us are most excited about is if you ever played the Oregon Trail, kind of like an Oregon Trail to Mars. But we came up with several ideas that are on that list. The asteroid mining would be one that I think has a lot of potential. Anything with growing, I think there's I don't know if anybody here's in a farm bill. I'm not. But if you are, you can see like a space farm bill, Pimp My Rover, I think was one we had. And really any ideas, but the info sheets that I gave you guys hopefully can give you some insight into what we're actually doing. So if you wanted to incorporate that into the games, or if you have any technical questions, that's what we're here for. So we're just excited to be a part of the event. This is great for our community. It's great for us to give you what we're allowed to give you, which is largely stickers and a lot of paper. But hopefully we can give you some knowledge to walk away with too. So thanks, and I'm really excited for the weekend.
Thank you very much. I think Noel is indisposed for a moment, but I will gladly hand the microphone back to him. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Don't leave. So, thanks, Josh. So we have one more thing before we're going to get going with those pitches. We have a local studio that's here in Orlando named TBA Games, and they worked on this game called Periarion. I'm going to let them talk about it, but I think it's really great that they made this game here in Orlando, and they have diverse backgrounds, and I think this game, they may have just completed it like seconds ago. And I believe it's on Steam Greenlight at the moment, so vote yes on them, and pretty soon it'll be available to purchase. I'm going to invite TBA Games up. They'll introduce themselves, and they'll show you a little bit about their game, Periarion.
While we're getting set up, I'll just take a moment to introduce us. I'm Erica Holcomb, and I was the producer for Periarion. This is Cameron Bollinger, who is our lead and only programmer, and Joseph Arcidiacono here, is our marketing director. So, basically, mentioning Oregon Trail on Mars, that was kind of our inspiration for this game. Basically, the game Periarion is named after an astronomical term meaning the closest approach to Mars, and it's basically about you set out with the goal of establishing a sustainable colony on Mars. We tried to keep it as scientifically accurate as possible, given our limited knowledge. We did as much research as we could, but would welcome any input from anybody who knows better. But basically you take a crew out on Mars and try to survive. There's no aliens, there's no people to fight. It's very much about micromanagement, very much about survival, and very much about doing science and doing research.
So some of the key features we wanted to just highlight in our game, which by the way, we have fully functioning demos over there. So if you guys want to come by at any time and check out our game and play it, then that would be great. We would love feedback on that because our testing group has been pretty small. But basically this is all footage from in the game. So you decide who you want to take to Mars. We have an international crew of about 20 different colonists, about 15 right now. We still don't even have an American in there. So you land on Mars with your crew, and you can go into your base and bring them outside, and your goal is to get resources so you can build up your base and manage your rations of food, water, power. If any of those go down to zero, your colony will fail. While you're doing that, you also have a few things down here where you can research, and so you can upgrade different aspects of your base, and you can research into different trees of agriculture, medical technologies, stuff like that. So that will change how your base functions. It changes how different things that happen in the game. We have full day-night cycles, inclement weather that rolls in. So the goal of the game is just to deal with everything that happens. So we have random events that will happen, some good, some bad, that you have to just deal with all of that and make sure all of your rations stay above zero. Eventually, as you get to the end of the game, you will also can unlock different winning conditions, so different types of colonies, such as commercial outposts, or residential colonies, or a scientific colony. And each one of those will have different winning conditions that you have to achieve to reach that final goal of sustainability. So this is just one of our sites, Candor Chasma, and it's all based off of topological images of Mars from JPL satellite images. We also have Marthalis and Hellas, and a fourth map that we haven't revealed yet. So I'm going to hand it off to our marketing coordinator, Joe.
Thank you. And what we're very excited for is we're kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum of where you guys are today. You guys will be starting a lot of great ideas, really in the infancy of the game, and we're kind of approaching the end of our game cycle right here. So in the next week, we're going to have a demo that we release to the press. We have a lot of good contacts out there at local and national websites out there. And we're also going to be sending out the finished game to our Kickstarter backers first. And after that, it gets really exciting. Like it was mentioned before, we're currently on Steam Greenlight. We're approaching about 90% or so, so we're really excited to hopefully get listed on Steam. If we don't, we've been working with a lot of other websites as well too. In the very near future, we're going to be setting it up so that you can purchase the game directly from our website through a PayPal account. You can go to perryarian.com, and don't worry if you can't spell it. We have lots of business cards over here that you guys can pick up and join our Facebook group so you can know when all of these happen. But if you're also inclined, right now we're going to be taking our own version of pre-sales, which will get your name and email, and we'll let you know when the game is released. And everybody that's here today, we're happy to extend our Kickstarter pricing of $10, which is going to be about a 33% discount for what it's going to be later on. So we'll be very happy to get you guys the game as soon as it's ready to go up there. And in long-term projects, we're excited to also work with some local school systems too. We've been in preliminary talks with one school district to make it part of their after-school program to get middle school and high school kids interested in the space program. So there's a lot of different areas that we can go out and really showcase our game too, not just casual gamers out there, but students, teachers, items like that. So we're very excited, and we're grateful to all the help of the local Orlando indie community out there.
Yeah, as Joe mentioned, we are just eternally grateful to IndieNomicon because this project would have probably not gone forward if it wasn't for them. We presented in last November, and since then we've got nothing but support from them. And just I wanted to thank Kunal and all the people who put IndieNomicon together, and for inviting us to speak here and showcase our game here.
So again, thank you, and if anybody has any questions about the game, come see us.
All right. I guess another round of applause for Perry Arion. One of the hardest things is actually completing something, actually completing a game. And so they made it happen. And they're showing us that Mars is out there to kill you. There's no aliens, just the mission there, trying to live and have that as your habitat. There are a lot of dangers. So when you play that game, you'll get to understand some of the real science behind it. I think they could probably have a couple partnerships, I think, with NASA or SpaceX or, some of those space companies out there. I think that touches on a lot of things that we're trying to do. And, those kind of things can be experienced without spending a couple $1 billion and waiting a couple decades. We can start touching on that kind of stuff right now. So I'm going to go over the rest of the schedule for this weekend. And then we're going to have about 10 minutes of a bit of a break. You can take a bathroom break. You can mingle amongst yourselves. You can start thinking about what you're going to pitch. If you haven't gotten one of the open challenges out there, you can head out there and grab those sheets. Give yourself a little bit of time to think about what you're going to say when you come up here. So we're a little off our schedule, but not too bad. When we begin the pitches, everybody's going to get 60 seconds to speak to the audience. You're going to say your name. You're going to say the name of your game, the name of the title of your game, and you're going to say what your skill set is, what you're looking for, and you have the rest of the time to convince the audience why your game is great, why you should join that person's team, why this game is going to be a really great space game. That it's going to you're also going to mention if there's any sort of focus or any sort of space science involved. That would also be great to mention. Another thing about pitching is that you want to make sure that you connect with the audience. Make sure that if you're turning like this, the microphone goes with you. Sometimes people do this, and then you can't quite hear what they're saying. So make certain that you hold the mic up close, and if you're turning, hold it. Then after the pitch is over, you're going to be given a sheet of paper. It's going to have the name of your game, and you're going to line up somewhere around the room and tape it to the wall. And so then you're going to be there, and you're going to be standing there, and the next person's going to come up and pitch. They're going to have 60 seconds. And then everybody by the end are going to be lined up around the room, the ones that wanted to pitch a game idea. During this time while people are pitching, you're going to be handed some sticky notes, and they're going to be color-coded according to your primary skill set. So if you're an artist, you're going to get a particular color. If you're a programmer, you're going to get another color. If you're a musician, you're going to get another color. If you're a space pro, you're going to get another color as well. And once the pitches are done, everybody's going to get up, and you're going to walk around, and you're going to talk to all these people that pitched. You're going to ask them more about their title. They're going to try to convince you that why their game is so great. You're going to ask, hey, what can I do? This interests me, but I had this question. You're kind of going to do a little bit of an interview. It's like reverse dodgeball. You're not being picked last. You're picking where you want to go. So that's pretty cool. And if you like that particular game, you're going to give it a vote. You only have 3, so pick wisely. And of the top performing ones, they'll move on. Of the ones that didn't get so many votes, we'll have to cut those. The top games are then going to come back up and pitch one more time, taking the notes and the suggestions and things that you gave to them. They're going to incorporate that back into their pitch, and then you're going to make your decision. You may have voted 3 times, but you got to pick one team that you're going to join. And then you're going to get going. So you're not going to do a lot of real work tonight. You're probably going to get into your teams. You're going to get to know each other, get each other's names, numbers, emails. Start planning out like what your schedule is. If you got to go drop the kids off at soccer practice, or if you got to go pick up groceries, you're going to be out for an hour here or whatever. Make certain you tell your team, because then you can rely on each other. You know, like, okay, look, that's coming up. We can work around that. So plan out that. Plan out what your game is, and probably tomorrow is where things are really going to get going. Doors open at 8 a.m., and actually that's a lie. They actually open at 6 a.m. For anybody who's like super really hardcore, you could actually come here at 6 a.m. But I'm not going to be here then. Maybe Corey will, I don't know. But if you actually want to come here at 6 a.m., you could. So doors open, we're going to have breakfast for you guys, and then you'll be working throughout most of the day. Around noon, you're going to have a status update on where you're at. If there's a call for help, if you just realize like, oh crap, we don't have this skill set, or we don't know what we're going to do, or we tried this and we didn't know what to do, you're going to tell everybody, hey, we need help. Then you're going to break for lunch. We don't have lunch for you guys, but there is an on-site subway. We made certain it was all arranged that way. We made certain the whole subway is built there for you guys. So you can walk out that door, and it's just a couple feet down that way. Really great sandwiches. Then you guys come back. You're going to work until the end of the day. It's going to be a lot of hard work for the rest of the day. There is dinner tomorrow night as well. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be delicious. And we'll have that, I believe, around 6 o'clock. And then at 11:30, head home. Nobody's spending the night here. And that's been requested a couple times, but I think for the people that go way too hardcore, they're useless the next day. So at midnight, make certain that you go home, take a shower, get some rest, come back the next day, and work hard. And then on Saturday, go home again at midnight. So, rinse, repeat. Come back Sunday, doors open again at 6 a.m. if you want to. 8 a.m. is when we'll be here and we'll have breakfast. And again, lunch at noon. And then we're going to wrap up the games at 5. It's going to be tough. You're going to be racing towards the very end, but you're going to do it somehow, some way. Justin Bieber isn't here this weekend. He's not stopping us, okay? So that's not an excuse. You guys have a leg up. So we're going to wrap up the game production by 5. Make sure you scope your games appropriately. During that portion, when you wrap up your games, you're going to be given a login onto itch.io, and you're going to upload your game. We're going to make certain that everybody has been given credit, any screenshots, and that is all going to be uploaded. And then we're going to have dinner around 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, we're going to present what we made. Hell or high water, whatever it is, I think you guys are going to have something really cool, and we're going to present. And during that period, we'll show off the games. We can then have some of them available for display, and people can play that. And then around 9, we expect people will start cleaning up and then heading home. So again, be social, take pictures, take videos, post to Facebook, tweet something, put it on Instagram, put a photo filter on it. Space, I'm sure you can put a filter on that. Take Vine videos, put hashtags, because people got to find this stuff. So use the official hashtag IndieGalactic. And as well, we want other people to find it. We want people to find it here in town, in Orlando. So you can use the hashtag #OhYes. And then also, why Orlando? You'll have people from the city finding this stuff, people around town. They'll know this stuff is happening. And also, use hashtags that are being seen around the country. So you can put hashtag space, hashtag new space, which by the way, there's space and then there's new space. Okay? there's this term called new space, which is more for this privatized, commercialized space that's happening with like SpaceX or Virgin Galactic or Golden Spike. You know, these people, these entrepreneurs, these astropreneurs that are creating new companies that are taking us back into space, not necessarily government. So that's also something that's kind of being followed. So you could even put a hashtag for that. And then hashtag game dev. So then you'll start seeing other game development companies around the country taking a look at, hey, what the, you know, is Indie Galactic Space Jam happening in Orlando? And this stuff actually does reach. During this past month, I started getting emails from people in Sweden, you know, about, you know, what's going on there. We want to start being involved. I started getting, you know, messages from people in Europe, people in New York, and it's because I just started putting hashtags. I wasn't a big Twitter user before, but then I haven't used Twitter as much as I have in the past month and a half, and it actually worked. So, you know, make certain you do take the time to be social. Talk to, I imagine there's probably going to be a kind of a media team that almost will kind of form here. Bree, who has a company called Publicly Related, she's over there in the blue waving. She's kind of a master at this, and so is Joel. I don't know if he'll be here this weekend, but he'll be here in spirit then. But if you're somebody that's in marketing, somebody that's in PR, somebody that wants to be in promotions, you know, get with her. I'll be involved as well, and you know, we can kind of take some of the things while you guys are working, maybe screenshots. We can take videos, and we can help spread the word. We'll be there to help. And so we're gonna take a 10-minute break here. You guys can mingle amongst yourselves, start thinking about the games that you're going to want to pitch, go to the bathroom, go out there to the front lobby to grab the open challenges sheets. So if you want to make a game that incorporates things, technologies from NASA, take a look at that sheet, talk to the people from NASA. If you want to incorporate something from SpaceX, look at that sheet. And if you want to incorporate something from Rocket Crafters, look at the sheet over there too. So in about 10 minutes, we're going to get ready for pitches.